I have with me right now Dr. Ifeoma Nnaji, who is an amazing, amazing physician down in the Atlanta metro area, who basically found our world a couple of years ago. Is it a few years ago?
Oh,
And
yeah, happening.
and is now a short-term rental host. I said, you know what? Let's just have her on so we can just chat about, being a physician, being a short-term rental host, the whole transformation that has happened in the past year. Welcome, Dr. Nnaji.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Dr. Chagaze. Thank you for having me. So honored, so grateful. Thank you.
So, can you just like introduce yourself, tell the audience, who you are, what you do, and why we're here having his conversation here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you again for this great opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you. My name is Ifeoma Nnaji, and I am a family physician. I I am currently I did clinical practice for some years, but I'm currently in administrative medicine. I do utilization company for one of the big pharmaceutical companies. And so that's what I'm doing currently. And not too long ago, I was introduced into the beautiful world of Dr. Chiagozie Faole. So that's how I got started in the short-term rental world.
I still remember I still remember the day that you sent me a text. It was the weekend of PIMD Con, and those of you who aren't physicians may not know this, but it's the passive PIMD, passive income MD or something. Yeah, by Dr. Peter Kim. So he hosted this conference down in California, and I had spoken on stage. I had done a few of the like a panel or like a what's it called? A debate with some other investors on stage. And the Sunday, because I know I was back in town when you sent me that message, like, oh my goodness, who are you? And before I knew it, you had signed up for our territory mastermind then. What was it at the time that had piqued your interest about investing in real estate, just real estate period? Like what even got you on the PIMD conference page, should I say?
Okay, so this is such a convoluted story, but basically, just like other physicians looking for other alternative income source, hoping to exit the sometimes confining world of medicine,
Yeah.
you know, getting more time freedom. I had reached out. I was talking to a friend of mine, Dr. Tochukwu Abata, and we were just talking. We hadn't even talked for a long time. And we got to talking about what else we're doing and how work was going and all that stuff. And she told me, oh, there's this conference, oh, that she invests in real estate. I was like, oh, what do you do? She was telling me about syndication. I had never even heard of syndication, first of all. So she
Mhm.
was telling me, okay, that if I'm interested, there's this conference that happens every year.
Mhm.
So the next time it comes around, she'll let me know to sign up. So, which she did in 2022.
Mhm.
So when she sent me the information, I quickly signed up. I was like, okay, I got to learn all I need to learn. I don't think she clearly told me that that was mostly physicians to start with.
Mm.
So when I signed up and all the introductions were happening and everybody was a doctor, I was like, holy cow, something is happening in the medical industry that some of these employers, I don't think they know about it. There's like an undercurrent of revolution happening because look at all these doctors. I promise, I was like, wait a minute. So apparently I'm not the only one thinking to exit medicine if I want to. So I listened to okay, so it happened that at the same time I had just had a major surgery. So I was home recovering.
Mm.
So, I was able to watch the conference, the hours and the times and everything like that. But as they were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really interesting, and then, I started reading comments about the minimums of this investment, minimums of that investment. I was like, the minimums they were talking about were like, oh my gosh, little people like me can never do this
Little people, yeah,
stuff. That's
people.
what I thought. That's what I honestly believed. I was like, oh my God. So if you don't have a godfather somewhere that had saved up some sort of, money for you,
Nest egg,
how can
yeah.
And then some people obviously are making money in medicine, like the specialists. I'm a family physician. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I don't even work full time.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to, do this. I reached out to one company, and I spoke to them and they were like, well, the minimum they can possibly do is maybe 25, but I have to be an accredited investor. I was like, well, there goes my chances. At least this somebody was willing to let me in on the deal, but I'm not an accredited investor. And then as I thought about it, I was like, well, okay, the little money I have, I think instead of putting it into somebody else's,
Deal. Yeah.
business, let me
Yeah.
use it on mine first. I kind of see how it goes.
Yeah.
So that if anything happens, I'll blame myself and I won't be mad at,
And
somebody
anybody else.
else.
Yeah.
So I was reading through the comment and I saw your comment,
Mhm.
Dr. Chagoze, and it was talking about short-term rental, I was like, wait, what is this? And then I think I Googled it or something like that. I read a little bit more and I just sent you, instant message, a text. And that's
Hey,
all she wrote.
so you brought up quite a few things that I feel like we could absolutely go down a number of rabbit holes this afternoon. Because one of the things I had actually that just struck me is that a lot of people are having the same thoughts that you had, right? Like, how much longer am I doing this for again? What are my options? And they're having these thoughts, and some may even have like guilt having these thoughts because they feel, oh, but a real doctor shouldn't be thinking these thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know social media these days now has probably somewhat normalized these conversations, or at least should I say in my social media circle, because now I have
Yes,
a lot of people around me that are doing that. But unless you're into that like algorithm swirl and you haven't heard of these things, you're probably thinking, but does a doctor do this? So I was telling
exactly.
people at some point that like I hid all my stuff for 3 years because I didn't want anybody to think that I was like hustling because I was like, yeah. But and then you mentioned something else that you said that do employers know this?
I don't know that they know what's going on, but when it bubbles to the surface, it's gonna be a disruption,
Oh, it already.
massive one with a lot of empowered physicians. That's honestly how I feel in my core, you know?
Yes, and I think it is a good thing.
Yes, very, very good thing. Yeah.
Um, so okay, so you reached out back then, and then we got talking. You basically jumped into our world, and within a couple of months, I would say I don't remember how many months now, but it was probably, you know what? Let me let you tell the story. So, what happened after that in terms of your investing story, investing journey?
So, okay, so when I reached out to you, and then I think I had a conversation with you, or I went to your website
I think you spoke with
and
Carol.
just read up some more. And then when you reached out to me about what, I don't even remember if we had a conversation before you sent me the link.
Oh, it doesn't
So
even
you
matter.
said, oh, there was a
You
link
came in.
that came with your name. It says connect with Carol to
Yeah,
sign,
you
something like
came
that.
in. What happened after you came in?
So so I came in and then it was just the, the astonishing thing was my lack of knowledge, but then I was willing to learn as much as I could. Prior to then, I only had one property, which was the house I bought when I was in residency,
Mhm.
that I was just very passively, like
Yeah.
passive up and passive, using as a long-term rental.
Mhm.
So when I came in, as God will have it, around the same time that I reached out to you, I had another job opportunity just literally fall into my lap.
Mhm.
Like I got an email. When I say fell into my lap, God was orchestrating something that I was not aware of.
Mhm.
So when this job opportunity came, I took it without knowing what the reason was,
Mhm. Mhm.
for this income source to come into my world. So shortly, I don't even know if it was within days or weeks, which one happened first, but anyway, I ended up signing up. I had never heard of, I didn't even know what coaching was, number one. I wasn't even active on Facebook, but I was like,
That's
well, if
true.
this is seriously, if this is how to learn what I'm trying to do, I'm on board. What's the worst that can happen? You know, it would be an experience.
In your story, I think the biggest like it's almost like it's literally an act of God, honestly, because when
Yes.
because I remember that when we spoke, you were like, "Yeah, I'm not active on Facebook," and I'm like, "So how in the world are we having this conversation if you're not active
I'm
on
not,
Facebook?" Because like that is literally the only place that I spend my time.
no, seriously, I had never seen your name. During the conference was when I changed my city from
Yeah.
Athens to Smyrna. And I moved away from Athens, I don't know, almost 10 years ago or
Oh
13
my
years ago,
gosh.
something. Yes.
So
So anyway, so I came into, your coaching program, and just the opening of my eyes was just refreshing, first of all. Um, but it's just been the way, you break down the information, the way you introduce each aspect of, the real estate niche that you're speaking about, the way you explain, the way you analyze, the way you take questions, the way you ask questions was just really mind opening for me personally.
mhm,
And that was my, that's the way I learned best, by listening, because sometimes I don't always know what to say, what
mhm.
to ask, uh because I feel like what I didn't know was just massive. So I was sometimes I was afraid of asking the wrong
The wrong
ignorant question.
question.
So
Yeah.
I listened mostly, and just learned,
So
yeah.
when did you first get under contract for the Atlanta property?
So I got on that contract. I got on that contract. I think it was in March. So I came into your program
Around,
October
yeah,
2022, I think.
yep, like
And
end of September.
yes, oh, September, October. And
Yeah.
by the end of that year, like I've shared with you before, that year ended with me, you know, realizing I was having surgery come January.
Mm,
So here comes another surgery in January. But again, God in his infinite wisdom had connected me with somebody else who is my realtor and my
mhm,
designer, Stephanie Omens, who, even though I had all these other things going on, she became more than a realtor. She was able
yeah.
to center me.
Yes.
She knew what I wanted. She knew, because of my schedule, I didn't always make it to the property, but she went to each property. I explained what I wanted to do. And she would, even when she sent me a property, I was like, oh, I really love it. She's like, no, but I don't think this is going to work for what you're doing.
Mm,
So she was so amazing. I can't even speak enough
mhm,
of her. So anyway, she didn't know I was having surgery. Um, I had surgery, and I was still responding and corresponding with her like I was at home, until one day she found out I was in the hospital. She was like, what? Yes. So anyway, so she kept, looking for property until she found the one. And I think we went into contracts either February or March of
mhm, mhm,
2023,
mhm.
because we ended up closing end of March, I think.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think I think we closed end of March.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's worth pausing to highlight something that you just mentioned. And that is the fact that you were getting surgery and looking for a house, okay?
Yeah.
Um, Now people see success stories and they blow past all the things that had to happen before the success stories happen, right? And it should not be lost on anyone that this is somebody like middle of surgery. Like you could have had all the excuses in the world. You could have said this is not a great time. You could have said this is not, but you identified where you wanted to be, took action on trying to find the help and the mentorship. But then, you know, there's something that you do actually that challenges me, and that is you show up. Oh, what's this thing doing? And that is that you show up. Like, I got on a call at 8 o'clock. It is 8:01. Ifeoma is not there. I'm like, okay, she's there in a couple of moments. Just wait, because she will be there. Um, you are definitely one person that I'm like, I need to learn from her to just show up. Okay, because you then go from not just showing up to now taking action. So you got this property. Tell us about the property. What, like, is it a single family home, multifamily? Just what kind of property is it?
So it's a single family townhome. It's a townhome. It's in the city of Smyrna. And you know, one of the things you taught us is, you know, don't pass go without checking regulations. So, and this is something my realtor was very familiar with. So even though I was like, oh, I need to be in Atlanta, she's like, I don't think you can jump through the hooplas of getting an Atlanta property the way they have it set up now.
Mm-hmm.
Smyrna is more friendly because they have regulation, but it's the process is a lot
Yeah.
streamlined. So that's why we focused in Smyrna.
Mm.
Initially, I think I remember one time I was talking to you on the call. I was like, you asked me, where am I looking? I said, California. You were like, California? And I was like, yeah, I have a brother in California. But again, God in his infinite wisdom. And this is one of those things that will be different for
Great.
different people in the industry, either getting something in your backyard or getting something far away. In this case, he knew me, he knew my current status and what he knew things that were to come that I didn't know about. So he was able to direct me to find something, you know, not too far from where I live. So that's where we found it's a 3 bedroom, 3 bath townhome in Smyrna.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so you got it under contract, you went through all the processes, you closed, right?
Yes.
And now Stephanie also helped you with the setup, right?
Yes. So she is an amazing interior designer. So she designed that property to the T. And then we went live. We had to do some work on the property on one of the bathrooms, and we went live sometime middle or end of June.
Okay, okay. So a couple of so a few months between getting the property up, tidied up, fixed up,
Mhm.
all that, and going
Yes.
live. Okay, good. And I remember when that property went live, it was gorgeous. Like, I wish I had the pictures handy. Maybe I should have it for the next person. But the pictures were just like, oh my goodness, who did this place? It came out really nice, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then what happened when you went live? Because here, let me preface this point, right? Because I'm sure you'll expect that I'll skip this part, right? When you had the issue at the property. But the
Yeah.
fact is, we're not here to sugarcoat it for anybody.
Yes.
Okay? People need to understand
Yes.
that, things happen. And even if things happen, they will hear about it here. So that they
Yes.
don't go into a short-term rental thinking, oh my gosh, it's all like chocolate and rainbows. And then
Mhm.
waterfalls. So what happened?
So one of the things, again, one of the things you preach that is in your blueprint book, the SCR blueprint, is uh list your property.
Yeah.
Oh, still fixing it, list your property. Wait, I've not finished writing up the description, list your property. So so finally, I think what happened was one of our coaching calls was coming up, and I was like, I don't want to hear her ask me if I've listed my property one more time. So let me list my property. And again, the night before that, Stephanie called me, my realtor and my interior
Yeah.
designer. She called me. She stayed on the phone with me.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, she stayed on the phone with me and made me list that property that night.
Mhm.
I was like, no, it's too late. You know, you go to bed. I don't want to keep you up. You're not a late person. She's like, no, it's okay. I'm going to be on the phone with you until you list that property. We were, texting back and forth, and, she would look at what I'm doing, from the guest side, and I'll tweak a little bit from on the back side, and
Yeah.
kept doing this until I listed that property. And then when I listed the property, the next morning as I was taking my daughter to school, I get like notification of a booking. I was like, I think, yeah, thank God I didn't crash my car that morning. Because I was like, I need to pull over and call Stephanie. I need to pull over and call Stephanie. So I drove home. I didn't pull over. I drove home. I called her. She's like, what? You have a booking? Yes, I got a booking. So we listed it and the booking was going to be like in 3 days.
Mm,
So that morning, after we got the booking, I reached out to my cleaner. I said, please, I need you to clean this property ASAP. So she wasn't able to go that same day, but she went the next day.
mm,
She got there the next day. She called me. She said, ma'am, there's water all over your property. I said,
mm,
what?
mm,
Like, I said, water where? In the kitchen, in the sink, like water in the bathroom? What are you talking about? She's like, no, there's water on the floor all over your property. I said, what happened? All I know is that it rained the night before, but it wasn't any
any
like
catastrophic,
any
yeah.
different than, Atlanta rain at that time. So she actually did a video and sent it to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I immediately reached out to, the person that had booked. I said, I'm sorry, we have to shut down. We have an emergency. And I paused my listing on Airbnb. Again, one of the things I got out of the program was having a good
Good
short-term
insurance.
rental insurance,
Yeah.
you know. So when that happened, we had to shut down.
Hmm.
So it took us a while to like figure out what the problem is and to, do all the renal, like do all the stuff that needed to be done and then go back live again. But that took a while because initially we didn't even know where the issue was. The
Hmm.
whole time we were fixing up the property before we went live, it was raining, there was no issue. Like we were moving in furniture, it rained, didn't rain,
Hmm.
nothing happened to the inside of the property. So, and then we go live, and then this happens before a guest.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that was like
So,
mind blowing.
so the last piece of that though, the insurance piece.
Yes. So what happens with having a short-term rental having an insurance specific to short-term rental is that there's a clause uh in the policy
Policy.
that if anything were to happen and you couldn't use your property, you can file a claim for that. So
Mhm.
if I had not gone live before that thing happened, there's no way I could say, oh, I couldn't
Lots
use
of
my
rent.
property because loss of rent because I hadn't gone live. So that was a blessing. Yeah,
Because so I guess I'm basically filling in that part because with you going live, you are now able to tap into the loss of rent
that
part
is
of
correct.
your
Yes,
policy. So
that
your
is correct.
insurance company now paid you while the property was down.
That's correct. That is exactly right. Yes, that is very correct.
Because I still remember when you came on the call and you were like, the property is down, but the insurance company is paying. I was like,
Yes. They sent out an adjuster and everything, we got a company to fix it. Yes, that is correct. Yes, yes,
amazing. Okay.
yes.
So you went through all that, the property got fixed up, and then you went back live.
Then I went back live the end of August.
Okay. So about
So as yes, yes. I went back live end of August. And then initially it seemed like nothing was happening because the property had been lost. And one of the things I learned about how Airbnb algorithm works is when the property has been offline, it sort of loses its viewership,
hmm?
and so it drops from people finding your property.
Yeah.
So it took a while. And I was like, I was praying about it. I was like, and then and then I'm actually gonna say this on this call because having come into your coaching into your world, it wasn't just about coming into your coaching program, but
Mhm.
it was also about God continuing to reinforce my life with people that will help me grow as a
Hmm.
Christian. So I had reached out to you and another friend of mine because I wasn't getting
Booking.
uh booking, and I had heard that, once you get your first two reviews, you know, I mean, it's just rolling from there. So I reached out to you and another friend, and I was like, "Oh, do you guys mind booking my property, and then giving me a review?" And And I remember you didn't respond right away. And I was like, okay, maybe she. After I asked the question, that is the thing. After I asked the question, I didn't feel good about it. I was like, I really shouldn't have asked this. I felt like I was overstepping, one. And two, I felt like, why are you rushing? Like,
Mm.
where are you rushing to? Why are you trying to take over? Just let me do what I do, was
Yeah.
what came to me. Luckily, thankfully, gratefully, you reached back out and you was like, no. Um, you were like, I can't
Wait,
remember your exact
start with
words.
what the other friend said though.
Oh, okay, yes. So initially she said yes. Initially she said yes, and then within a few hours, she said, you know what? I thought about it, and I don't feel like I want to do that, or something to that effect. Like she didn't feel comfortable doing that. And no, I actually called her and I said, oh, I know I asked you this. She had said yes. She said yes
Okay,
immediately.
okay,
But I
okay.
reached back out to her and said, oh, please let me know if you don't feel comfortable. Because at that time I had started to feel
Yeah,
a
feeling
bit
somehow in your
buzzing in
heart.
my own
Yeah.
spirit. Yes. And she said, I said, if if you don't feel comfortable, please let me know. Please, there's no pressure. I just thought I should reach out to you. And she said, okay, I'll let you know because we're both working. And she called me back a few hours and she said, you know what, I actually thought about it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity, to not do it if I wasn't comfortable. And, I don't think, I'll be comfortable doing that. I said, you know what, no problem. And then I think it was after that that
A
either I
text came.
spoke to you or texted me or something, but anyway, within 24 hours of those two conversations with you and with my other friend,
Yep.
I got a booking for that first holiday weekend in September.
Yes.
Boom. At the speed with which I called you like at 10 p.m. at night.
Still
I called
remember.
you right away. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for not doing it. Because what if you had selected those dates that some like an actual client could have booked, So
Yeah.
again, this
That's
was a lesson in spiritual growth as much as it was a lesson in real
entrepreneur.
estate
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, So yes. Yes.
It's really funny how faith and business just walk together side by side. Like some people think they can separate the two and be like, have their secular life and then have their spiritual life or have their faith, whatever. But the two work hand in hand
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
one you, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's one
Yes.
you. And then, I
Yes.
mean, like you were on our call a few days ago, and usually on our calls, I try to, I mean, I because we have both Christians and non-Christians on the call. It's not like I try to, but literally on the call that 2 nights ago, I was excited about the client that had the win, and I was super excited, and somehow I just felt it inside of me that, just say a prayer over it, and I literally could not hang up that call without doing that. um because at the end of the day, when you're operating your business, when you're doing your lives, when you're talking, when you're everything comes down to alignment. And when you start to try to be inauthentic or to do things or say things that at the end of the day you that don't sit well with you, just for the likes, just for the videos, just for the view counts or whatever, then it all falls apart.
Quickly, quickly, quickly,
It all
quickly.
falls apart. Okay, so now you're back on live. Now you have that booking. Just overall, how has the journey been owning the short-term rental?
So overall, oh, let me add
Mhm.
also that, from the knowledge of being in your coaching program, my other property in South Carolina,
Mhm.
which was which was a long-term rental, I was able to convert that to a short-term rental as well. So I
Okay.
have two properties within,
Yep.
basically roughly, 12 months of being
Yeah.
in your coaching program. Um, so the one in Atlanta, the first one, was doing Oh, he's doing okay. I had bookings, mostly every weekend because of the location of where it is.
Mhm.
It's urban. But then towards the end of the year, last year, I started getting more longer bookings. I
Mhm.
had someone that booked for I think it was maybe 6 nights,
Wow.
and they quickly extended for another 7 or 8 nights. So they stayed there all through Christmas and New Year. So that was really a blessing. And for that sorry, for that property, I don't think I had any weekend since I went live that wasn't occupied at all. So, and every time a weekend is coming up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this weekend is about to be is about to be,
Empty.
not occupied.
Yeah.
Literally somebody will, book the property. And that's how it's been. The one in South Carolina is doing well as well. I listed it on, I think it was Thanksgiving Day or the
Mhm.
night before Thanksgiving Day.
Mhm.
And within 24 hours, I had a booking, and then I've had, three bookings since, and I have another booking this weekend coming up as well.
Wow.
So yeah, so God's been really good.
That's really awesome. That's really
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so now while you were, it's funny, I chuckled because you came for the real estate, but so what is this? Tell me about this travel business that you're working on.
Check and see. Oh my goodness. Yes. So even oh goodness. Yeah. So this one is the one that God is still working with me on, honestly, because um, even before the real estate business, I started a travel company. Now, I am not one-on-one, people think I'm social, but I am not a people-facing person,
Mhm.
like I'm not that kind of person at all. But when people interact with me one-on-one, they're like, what do you mean you're shy? I'm like, yes, I'm very shy. Don't be fooled by my interaction with you
Don't be
one-on-one.
fooled by the fact that I'm talking to you right now. I'm actually
Exactly.
going to run into my shell.
Yeah, so I'm not a forward-facing person, people-facing person. I like to kind of be in the background, that's what's most comfortable for me. But a few years ago, I think it was in 2016 or 20, I don't even remember. No, 29, some year. I had come through a huge medical like experiment, I will call it honestly, because I literally lost my life and was saved.
Wow.
Um, and so, but anyway, during the recovery of that, it was just laid on my heart to start a travel company. I love to travel, but I was like, I don't even know how I'm gonna get clients. First of all, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, no idea. I was like, okay, I have lots of friends. I'll be able to tell them that I have a travel business. Zilch. Anyway, but the reason, the main reason for starting that company is because I am a polio survivor, and I use crutches, in my daily life. And all through my life, I know I love to travel. Like, I'm the kind of person, if I want to go somewhere, I will find a way to go. But I know that even with me, as motivated as I am to travel, there are still a lot of challenges
Mhm.
when it comes to traveling when you have a physical disability.
Mhm.
So it led me to start the travel company because I wanted to focus on that population of people with physical disability that usually will look at a place or look at a time in a calendar and will say, oh, I really want to go to so place, but they're not able to go because of one physical challenge or another. So I wanted to speak to those people, use my life as an example, the places that I've been or the travels that I've done, and the ones that I haven't done because of XYZ, but to let people know that yes, you may have this going on, but you can still enjoy life. You can still get to where you want to go and I will help you get there
Hmm.
if you let me.
So now what does that look like? What are you doing? What is what is still in the works and what is available now for those who say, you know what, I have a family member or I myself am physically, challenged, and I would like to sort of, you know, work with you. Like, what do you do with or for people? Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so if someone reaches out to me and lets me know, pretty much it's usually um kind of like a brief interview process so I can get to know certain details about the travel, but then certain details about the person,
Mm-hmm.
and try to curate the travel experience that is specifically for them. It will include not just booking the flight or booking the hotel, but in this case it's just not gonna be booking a hotel. It will have to be an accommodation that speaks to the challenge that the person has. If the person is so physical disability comes in many shapes and forms. So you could be on a wheelchair because you have a condition that requires it to be, or due to your age, or you could have some not so obvious physical challenges, and that is not so obvious to other people, but the struggles you have. For example, people with multiple sclerosis,
Mm-hmm.
they have
Mm-hmm.
their own set of physical challenges sometimes, not all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but whatever the issue is, I get all that data and then I reach out to the different accommodations in the location that the person is trying to go. Based on my experience, if they've never flown before, I can help them navigate, how to get through the airport, what to ask for ahead of time, what to include on their tickets, how to reach out to the wheelchair people at the airport and stuff like that. All this, I can do for the person if, they give me the right information for what they need.
Mm-hmm.
I am looking to also build connections with hotel chains and other private hosts with, shorter rental accommodations to, curate or to get a database of whose property is handicap accessible, but not just handicap accessible, what type of handicap accessibility they have. So for example, a rolling shower is different from having a regular shower, but with grab bars and a shower chair, things
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So basically, if I were to summarize what you do, is basically like you're like a travel concierge for people with physical disabilities.
that is
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
So
Mhm.
guys, if I mean, you know now you know who to find. Okay. Now you know who to find. But now let's now get your perspective, because I believe that the opportunity still exists with short-term rentals to create accessible properties for people with disabilities. How would you advise those listening to make their properties basically a category of one or two in their markets to be able to cater to people that have physical disabilities? What would you advise someone who was trying to make their property more accessible?
Yes, thank you so much. So, one of the biggest issue for people to have with physical disability is having access to both sleeping space and bathroom space
Mm-hmm.
on the first level.
Main level, okay.
So yes, so
And this
even
is for
if
those that
you
have primarily like issues going up steps.
that is correct,
Yeah,
because that's usually the biggest categories of
yeah.
people, even I find sometimes that even people, able-bodied people,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes don't necessarily want to walk up and down stairs anyway, but especially for people with physical disabilities, just having a room, even if nothing else changes, just having a room on the main level and a bathroom on the main level is half the battle.
Yeah.
And then, so that's number one. Having like a stepless entry if possible. That's another possibility. And then having if you can convert your entrance to have a ramp, that's also another win for people with physical disabilities. Even sometimes it's not just for the ramp to be for wheelchairs. people that have challenges may not be able to go up even 2 flights of steps in front of a door.
Mm-hmm.
So at least having that ramp will be helpful. And then once you get inside the building, the bathroom is another big one, taking a shower. I recently traveled, and for me, traveling, I enjoy it. Like the plane is my happy place. But the preparations I go through before I get to the place, it's mind blowing. I hardly make my reservations for hotel over the internet. I don't. Just personally, I call the hotel, not the reservation
Travel
line.
agencies. Yep.
Yes, I call the hotel, the local hotel that I'm looking to stay at, and I talk to the front desk manager. Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this? And if they don't have it or they can't get it, it's just not a consideration, at least for me and what I need. I recently traveled and I had called, did a three-way with American Express travel person. We called, they're like, yeah, we have the shower chair in the bathroom. And I get there, and the person at the desk was like, "Oh, man, we're sorry, the one we have broke." I was
Mm.
like, "What?" So, um, luckily they were able to get me one within 24 hours, but then it meant I couldn't shower for at least 24 hours,
Wow.
you know.
Yeah.
So that is that was it. Again, if they had not gotten it, I'm guessing they would have let me, cancel my reservation
Yeah.
and look for somewhere else. But just that inconvenience of even looking for another hotel would have been just, a bit disrupting in my experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you make a really strong point there that, when people are thinking about these things, this is something that, like, if you have a guest that asks you a question and then books your place, you need to make sure that you have that thing there when they when they get there.
Yes.
It brings to mind when we first launched our first lake house, one of our first maybe one or two guests asked if we had air conditioning because the wife had MS, like you said, and in her case, she needed to not be in a place that was hot. Um, and at the time, we were planning on putting in air conditioning because the prior owners, being that it was a lake house, they just liked having the fan. And we were like, no, we kind of want AC. So them being able to ask that question up front made us realize, okay, we need to get this thing up and running before these guys come. Thankfully, we were able to get it done. But from a host standpoint, since we're talking with hosts, if somebody reaches out and asks you for something, make sure that it's in working order when the person is due to get there. If you have a VA, make sure that they're checking. If it's you yourself doing it yourself, make sure that it's available. Okay. Any other Are there any other tips now that you will give to people who are looking to book travel for a person with disabilities?
I know sometimes it's hard to lose a guest, but if you don't have what they're looking for, please
Mm,
be upfront and tell them you don't.
yes.
Because or if you're not sure that you're gonna be able to have what they need,
Mhm.
please tell them so that they can, look for somebody that can, provide that for them because it takes a lot for people with physical disability to
Mhm.
get up and travel.
Mm,
And when they get there, they want to enjoy the time just like anybody else without being too much of a burden to somebody else, like people carrying them upstairs or,
mm,
somebody having to be there in the shower with them while they shower. They want to be able to do stuff almost as seamlessly as regular people. So if you don't have the stuff they're asking for, please tell them upfront that you don't have it because you could potentially ruin their entire vacation.
You're
Mhm.
absolutely right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is your outlook? Because I've been asking everyone that I've interviewed now what their outlook is, both about short-term rentals, about investing in general. What is your big picture plan? And I'm not necessarily saying your itty bitty plan, but like short-term rentals. Are you still thinking about getting more? Are you holding back? Are you like where are you right now, mind-wise?
Absolutely not. This train has left the station and it's not coming back again. No, I'm actually currently looking to so my next property is either gonna be a beach slash lakefront property or a mountains property. So those are the two categories of people that I'm talking, realtors that I'm talking to currently. I'm looking at a property in the Smokies, and I was just looking at a property in Gulfport, Mississippi as well. So we'll
Is it
see.
is it that one in the Smokies that came up on the
It's
call?
that
Oh,
one in this.
oh,
It
oh.
is. It is that
The
one
way
in the
I saw you going, I knew that that property wasn't gonna sneak by you. Okay, well, keep us
It is that one in the
posted.
Smokies. That is correct. Yes, yes. So I
Oh,
hope it's still available by the time I get my loan information together. Yes, 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 yes. But it is that
all right.
property.
Well, guys, she's still buying.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It's, I mean, just being in the space of real estate, it's a great channel for wealth building, wealth creation. But there's something uniquely special, in my opinion, about the short-term rental space that I just enjoy. Again, it may not be for everybody, but if you're even thinking about knowing more, I
Mhm.
mean, just finding you a fantastic coach like Dr. Chagozie, you will not go wrong doing that for sure. For sure.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. And like I said, you're like a model client that like everybody loves to have. It's like just the showing up part. It seems like a little thing, and I've said it twice now, but it seems like a little thing. But sometimes even just having somebody that literally shows up is a game changer, and you're definitely one of them. So thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Dr. Ifeoma, for hanging out with us and sharing your gems, right? For really opening our eyes now to seeing that as hosts, we really should be thinking about people with physical disabilities. And I love your vision of basically creating and curating properties for people who are traveling with disabilities so that that way they can basically just come to you, you plan the trip for them
Yes.
and basically help make their trip easier.
Yes.
That's such a gift. That is such a gift. Anyway.
That group is such an untapped group because, most of the time people don't know they still travel, but they travel very conservatively
Yeah.
because they're very tepid about going outside of their physical comfort zone to a place where they're not sure they can enjoy the amenities or even have access to the amenities, not even enjoy the amenities, access to the amenities,
Get there. Yeah.
So for example, if they're going to the beach, like getting out to the beach on the beach sand is different. So for me, who uses crutches, I avoid going to the beach because naturally my crutch will sink
Think.
in the beach sand.
Yeah.
Well, I was able to reach out to a company who makes um, custom,
Like tips for the
custom covering for the crotch tips,
crutch
so
tips.
that it kind of it doesn't sink in the
Mhm.
sand, So
Wow.
just having such contacts is
Hmm.
just a game changer. Again, it could be any different thing for people with physical disability, but yeah. I'm actively seeking. Like I said, I love to travel, so I'm actively seeking of ways to enjoy my vacation wherever I go.
And
Yeah.
sometimes those are the best businesses, honestly, the businesses that you build for yourself.
Yes, yes,
Like,
yes.
you know, our property, Doris, is like, yeah, fix it up for me first. Oh, you like it too? Well, I'm glad I fixed it up for me first.
Yes, 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 yes,
Awesome,
yes.
awesome, awesome. Always a pleasure chatting, Dr. Fama. How can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out, work with you, use your
Yes, thank
property?
you. So my email is, so the name of my travel company is Vie de Voyage. It's a French term which literally means life is a journey. So my email address is ifeoma.nnaji@videvoyage.com.
Okay, so I'm gonna
So
have to put that. So that's Ifeoma dot
dot Nnaji.
Nnaji at
Mhm,
V. So that's VIE
mhm,
de DE, and then
Mhm.
voyage is VOYAGE.com.
That is
All
correct.
right.
Yes,
So
thank
we're gonna
you.
have to put this somewhere in the show notes. And if you're watching this and I haven't put it in the show notes, just reach out. I forget. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for hanging out with me, Dr. Ifeoma. I
Thank you.
cannot
Thank
wait to
you
see
so
how this
much.
this, this grows. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you. It's been an amazing journey, so far. And I know the future is going to be even more amazing with you, Chegozi. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I hope you got a ton of value from this interview. Now, if you got any value from it, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to get your copy of the STR Blueprint to get your first or next short term rental, go to thestRbook.com.